I got this YouTube live up, SportsRap TV. So get over there, check us out if you can. If not, my partner is on Facebook Live, Aaron Baltimore. So go check him out. Everybody that's tuned in. Now, it is the topic that I mentioned earlier that I said I wouldn't tell what it was until we began to discuss it. So it's a topic that's been in the mainstream media for the past several weeks, several days rather, if you will. I don't know if it's been weeks or not, but it's been definitely the past several days. And again, like I mentioned the ball, I said, I'm glad that you're here. And no discredit to Frank. Frank is always good, but like I said, Frank is always short words. So it's tough.
Unless we talk about the 49ers,
talk about the 49ers.
Frank gonna dig in.
It's tough. Or the Lakers. It's
or the
tough
Lakers. You know, he loves his guys.
out. So he doesn't go as deep as myself and Baldy go. So I'm watching TV the other day. Actually, I'm not even watching TV. I'm listening to some stuff on YouTube, as a matter of fact. I'm watching YouTube, and I see Chris Broussard, and I see clips of his podcast. And the going topic, and then I see it a couple other places. Going topic, James Harden is being lauded or heralded as the best scorer in NBA history. I'm mad. My button ain't working now. I had it in my bag. I was hitting it around the back. There you go. So I'll jump right in.
You want me to go first?
Or
you gonna go first?
I'm gonna jump in, and then whenever you feel like you want to
chime in, go ahead.
You can chime in.
Because you may say something that I wasn't thinking.
I don't know if I can actually give him the best scorer in NBA history. It's been proven, and here we go with our facts again.
Fact or fiction, baby.
Right now, he is currently averaging 38.5 points a game. Okay. Championship runs, scoring leaders on championship teams have not scored that many points.
No.
And not averaged that many points. Even Wilt, when he averaged 50, they didn't win the championship.
Right.
So I tend to go along with that. And I've been saying this since he first went to Houston. I also kind of said it when he was in OKC coming off the bench as their sixth man, that they would never win a championship with him. It was more accentuated for me when he got to Houston because I think he is a great scorer, but I also think he's a volume shooter.
He is.
And when I was thinking about this and I decided to bring it to the show, I went through some stuff and I talked to some people like I always do. I do some research. And I looked at some game, one of the games that was played like right either the night before that I was talking about it. He shot 23 points.
Yeah.
20. Okay. Now, you can get into the thing about the scoring and you can get into about efficiency and all of those types of things can come along with it. But when I look at someone being the greatest scorer in the history of a sport, and we're talking NBA, so let's stick there. I feel like you've got to be able to score on all levels. And people will argue and say, well, he does get to the basket because he shoots a lot of free throws. I say, yeah, but if you look at his field goal attempts, he may end up with 30, 35 attempts overall. 20 plus are 3-pointers.
Yeah. Honestly, man, when we talk about, all right, so you have shooters, you got scorers. It's weird to put him, all right, he's in a league where you can't touch him anyway, which makes him a threatening scorer.
He's getting an extra step as well, I think.
He's a threatening scorer.
I mean, you get 2.5 steps in the NBA, I think, right now.
He is a shooter.
That step back is...
He can create space and get his shot off. He's never had an issue with
Never.
getting that shot off. It's just it's if you taking 40, 35 shots, dog, you're going to like, come on, you going to the rack, you can't get touched. So you're going to get about at least 10 to 12 attempts from the free throw line, period.
And a good portion of those twos are not completed. They're not successful
Right,
layups.
exactly.
He's getting fouled and he's shooting
Because
free
you're getting
throws.
fouled. And
But-
they don't
those
count against your
They
field
don't
goal
count against your field goal percentage,
Right.
but those
Right.
count against your attempts.
Right.
So, like I said, you could shoot 35 shots, but 20 plus of those 35 shots are 3-pointers.
Right.
And I mean, every now and then he gets a couple 4-point plays in the game.
Question is, D, you're coaching. He's on your team. Are you comfortable with one dude shooting 30-something times a game?
Me as a coach, no. Hell no, as a matter of fact. No.
Now, I go back to when the Sixers had AI. We were a defensive team. We didn't have a lot of offense.
Right.
And Larry Brown said the only way we're going to win is if Allen shoots 30 times. I got you. But Allen Iverson was a true scorer. Not a deadly shooter. Couldn't leave him open. His mid-range jump shot was good.
Absolutely.
Buckets from that elbow. He can get anywhere on the court and get a bucket. And so can, like, he can do that as well. I'm not taking anything from James Harden.
No, but the difference, I think,
He
in that
just
comparison-
dominates the ball so much, though.
The difference, I was about to say, the difference I think in that comparison is AI didn't have to dominate the ball. He didn't have to dominate the ball.
He could be
It
off
was more
the
so
ball.
when he got it, you knew what it was.
Right.
But also, if you look at the makeup of that Houston team right now and last year, and then you go back and you look in retro and you look at the team that AI was on. And let's go one, for example, just to pick one for comparison's sake. Let's go with the 2001, that finals team. Okay? You talk about AI, and like you said, the coach said, the only way we're going to win is if Allen shoots the ball 30-some times.
Right.
So they had a legit game plan. And like we said, it wasn't a ball-dominant shoot the ball 35 times. That was their offense.
It was in their it was in the flow of their offense.
And the reason I took that year 2001, that championship year, as an example, I wanted to use that, is because that was also the year that we won MVP of the league, sixth man of the league,
Coach,
defensive player of the league, and coach of the year. So it was more to it than just AI scoring the ball.
Right.
Which was a big part, pretty much got us there. But these dudes had roles.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron McKee, sixth man of the year, playing out of position for pretty much all of his career here with the Sixers under
playing
Larry
point
Brown.
guard.
Playing out of position. Right.
He would bring the ball up.
Point forward, so to speak.
Yeah.
You have Eric Snow, who was saved off of, what was it, Cleveland or San Antonio's bench.
Yeah,
he was kind of like
he was in Seattle first.
Seattle. He was kind of like the G League player in Seattle. Like, I'm just here because somebody got hurt and they need to have another man on the roster, fill out the roster, whatever. Got saved as a career. Look, this is what you do. You run the ball, you run the offense, you initiate the offense, and you play D. You gonna guard the other guy's point guard, so AI don't have to exert that energy on the defensive.
Right.
So I say a game plan like that, when you have the right pieces around it, and the way that team came together, they were okay until the All-Star break. But then you had that Mutombo in the freaking All-Star game, playing D, getting 20-plus rebounds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I honestly think they was on the phone during that game. Before that game was over, I think somebody was on the phone before the All-Star game was over. Because that trade happened literally days to weeks after the All-Star game. So that kind of concept, I still can't wholeheartedly say I'm okay with one guy shooting 35 times. But if I have the supporting cast and I'm using that supporting cast and it works, I could get through.
Well, right, because you're going with the flow.
Because I'm going with what works. Right. Now, as far as getting back to Mr. Harden, and this is like, folks, just to let you guys know, everybody know, this is no hate on what he does, because
it's the league.
This is the league. It's the makeup of the league now, and these are just from our standpoints, from the way we grew up playing basketball with each other in the neighborhood that we grew up in, the people that we played with, and to the fact that we coach, not me so much now, but Baldy now. This is what propelled us into the level of coaching and moving on and helping these other kids. So, for me, it's hard to say that he was the best scorer of all time. Because, like I said, I have to look at, like you mentioned, I have to look at efficiency, and I have to look at volume. And I think he's a volume scorer. I think he's a volume scorer because of the number of shots that he takes. Now, like we did say, and it's been also mentioned that, like we said, 38.5. Nobody averaged over 33 points a game has ever won a championship.
Right, because you go back, Mike would average that year 37.
Get ready to get into this.
Yeah.
Now, I went and I looked at a post from one of my friends, Hoops Realist, Ray Lyons, down in D.C. Lions Den, you can go check him out, lionsden.com. Ray Lyons Den, Hoops Realist on Instagram. You check him out. He put this post up when they were talking about this in the initial stage, and this is just who won the scoring title. He went back as far as from 85 to 98. So I'm going to run through this list, and I didn't get all of the numbers. I got certain numbers for sakes of this discussion that we're having right now. So Bernard King in 85, Dominique in 86, 87 through 93,
Mike,
MJ, David Robinson in 94,
I remember that year.
Shaq in 95.
I remember that year.
The next 3 years that round out this list is 96, 97, 98, MJ. Okay? Now, so you've got...
99 was a 50-game season.
Right. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years. Okay? MJ was the leader 12. No. 11. 11 of these years. Okay? And
yeah, because you got Tim Duncan, Shaq,
and Bernard and Dominique. And like I said, I didn't get the numbers, but what I wanted to point out was specifically
Mike had. I'm going to cut you off. Mike had the highest scoring average amongst all. It don't matter who you name in that 14 years. That 37.2 or 3 or whatever it was. Right. That was the highest he had ever scored that season, and he got bumped. Right out
that wasn't a championship, and that's what brought me to this point.
Yeah,
it was like 37 point something, maybe even 38 point something. But that was a year that he didn't win the title. Now the years that they won the title, and you know they did the three-peat twice, 91, 92, 93. So his scoring averages 31 and a half, right, 30 and a half, 32 and a half, 92, 91, 92, 93. Okay, so you figure by 96, 3-4 years later, game is evolving a little bit. Okay. And in this order, 96, 97, 98. Again, 3 more title years. 30.4, 29.6, 28.7.
And I will say this. When we talk about the end game situations, Mike wasn't a 3-point shooter. Now he could shoot it, but Mike wasn't a 3-point shooter. No. But he's had arguably the best 3-point shooters on his team each one of those years.
Absolutely.
Which allows space for him to get in the paint and score the way he was. He was an efficient scorer.
Yeah.
The efficiency of Michael Jordan's scoring, we ain't even gonna have a conversation about no James Harden. No. He's like you said, he's a volume shooter. I'm just gonna keep shooting. He a gunner. He's a stone cold gunner. But he's a stone cold gunner that dribble. Yeah. And I'm looking at the shot clock, and this dude done dribble the ball.
Right. You get 24 seconds. He's dribbling 10 seconds off that clock.
Dog, if I'm coaching a kid, and this kid is dribbling the ball more than 4 times, subbing. It don't take you that many dribbles to get past somebody.
And at that point, it's almost to the point where you say sub, getting. If that kid that you say sub, getting, say who you say getting, never mind. You go get him.
Yep. If you ain't ready, I can't put you
never
in.
mind, you go get it.
I can't put you in. I might only be putting you in for a minute so I can tell him something.
To him. Yes, absolutely.
But if you not, that means you not tied into the game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you got a guy that's dribble. Okay, what's going to happen when we trap you?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he burns out.
Yeah.
His shooting percentage goes
way down.
Diving down. He's getting 10 and 12 points. He's shooting 0 for 11, 0 for 13 in the first halves. You think you're going to win? And you can't win that way.
You can't win that way. And it's amazing how people are not talking about this. And I added this last week because I found an article and it was like 7 topics, NBA topics that should be talked about that people aren't talking about. And it correlates with this, with Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
And people are not paying attention, well, whether they might be paying attention, but they're not talking about it. But his stats have dropped.
Yeah,
from him playing in OKC. And for him, that is the right word. It may not, if you look at the numbers, it may not look like it's a big drop as far as numbers. But when you look at the play, and I said this when they made this move, how long is this going to work, if it's going to work at all? Because
they both dominate the ball.
They both have to dominate the ball to do what they do. And how do you pacify, if you will, one or the other? More so one or the other being Russell. Because James Harden's been there.
Yeah, he's been there.
And he made that culture situation what it is. So it's not him.
And think about it like this. He was the 6th man when you was the man. So now I'm the man.
Right.
You secondary to me.
Right.
You coming to my house now.
Absolutely.
And that ego amongst players, that never is. Basketball is an ego-driven sport.
Absolutely.
To an extent.
Look at how long it took him. Not no disrespect, but look at how long it took him to get
Sometimes
in. And for the simple reason that he didn't want to accept that I'm not starters minutes. AI, same way. Yeah, absolutely.
AI got the Memphis and told them, I ain't coming off no bench for no OJ Mayo. Who is he?
Right.
And we never seen AI again.
Never again.
Then he came back to the Sixers and he wasn't the same guy.
Wasn't the same guy.
That ego is what leaves guys in the league too long.
Yeah.
That ego is what drives guys crazy.
Yep. And sometimes it also gets him out of the league too soon.
Too soon. Because there's no way Melo should not have been playing at the beginning of the year.
There's no way.
Period. Yeah. He should have been in the league.
Yeah. You know, I think back to that situation, and again, I say when he signed with Houston, even when they had Chris Paul there, when it was the 3 of them, I still felt like that was a bad decision.
Yeah. There's no room.
And
when you gonna get the
and
ball?
I say that because of the type of player that Melo is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of player he is. It wasn't a good fit.
He's a rhythmatic shooter. Mm-hmm. He requires touches.
Right.
When you have a guy that dribbles, you got 2 guys now that dominate the ball. Yeah. Well, basically all you doing is cardio.
That's it.
Because you're just running up and down the court.
Right.
And Melo has always been a good rebounder. Yeah. So what you see in Portland now, he's going back to what made him a household name coming out of college.
Right. And if you feel like it, you play a little bit of D.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you know, when you get that ego going,
old heads don't play no defense.
But that
defense,
that defense at that point is for sakes of, I'm gonna get this steal and I'm going coast to coast.
Right.
I'm gonna get me a bucket in this mix. You know, that's how that ego at that point plays out. But you have to have a lot for me. And again, like I said, when we talked about your greatest team of all, your greatest players of all time, and we always argue when we talk about people the greatest and this and that, why is Wilt and Bill Russell and Kobe always brought up after the fact? They're not initially brought up.
Right.
They should be initially brought up. I mean, hell, Wilt revolutionized the game. People, do your basketball history. The game started out with a trapezoid paint area.
In a beach basket.
In a beach basket where you couldn't dunk. He started dunking, and they called something on. Started calling texts on him or whatever. Okay, they did so much that they changed the lane because of him. So
he
averaged 50
yeah.
at one point.
And he literally, every line that you see on the basketball court is because of Wilt.
Mm-hmm.
The half court line,
Mm-hmm.
the 10-second rule coming over, 9-second rule coming over now.
Right.
Speed the game up. The free throw line extended, the height of the court, the width of the court, the length of the court.
Everything.
All that was Wilt driven.
Mm-hmm.
And what they didn't understand was, you're making these new rules for this young black athlete, but you're making the game harder for everybody else in the league. Because now they got to shoot higher, run farther. The whole game got changed.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, every rule in the NBA, even the 5-second call.
Yeah.
Like that 24-second shot clock is Wilt driven, because nobody wanted to come out and watch guys just move the ball around playing keep away.
Offense, yeah.
Nobody wanted to watch that, so they changed the rules. So, like you said, in order for you to say who's the greatest, well, we got to talk basketball impact. I'm not talking sneakers and monetary. I'm talking about the game itself. Mm-hmm. You can give me LeBron, but I'm going to say, again, we go back to, well, what's his signature move? Right. He doesn't have one.
And, you know, just to kind of flip the script a little bit from what we've been saying so far, just to defend and to just let people know that we're not totally biased in the situation. With this James Harden situation, we both said he's a volume scorer. So you could very easily have people that are going to argue and say, well, he's a volume scorer, but I would tend to go with the more efficient scorer that's going to give me the same number of points.
True.
And it has been done.
True.
Where players have scored, had a better efficiency and averaged high numbers, a la Tracy McGrady, a la Michael Jordan. So, and Michael Jordan, I don't think would actually be called necessarily a scorer, because if you look at the makeups of those championship teams, we just take them for example. Now, maybe his first couple years in,
he was a scorer.
Well, no, he was a scorer.
He was a gunner. He was James Harden.
He was James Harden in here. No, absolutely. But as his team started to form,
he became more efficient.
He got into the 90s.
Yeah.
And he got into the Michael Jordan rules and then, you know, the bad boys and all those types of situations. There were a lot of times when he didn't really start playing, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Until he needed to.
Right.
And it might have been early, might have been some in the first half, it might have been totally all in the second half. But when Chicago needed points, they needed stretches, they needed runs, they looked to Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But all throughout, these other guys played their parts. Scotties, the Paxsons, the Steve Kerrs, the Dennis Rodmans of late, the centers that he had that a lot of people felt were subpar. Bill Wennington, Luke Longley, Bill Cartwright at the end of his career or towards the end of his career. But all these guys had roles.
Right.
And it worked.
Right.
And it was more or less like, look, y'all
got to
play too.
Offense was efficient because
too. That's right.
It correlated with,
because it's not
the
one
package
man.
you put on
one
the floor.
man is not going to win a championship.
Right.
We've seen that all throughout. We've done it. Been through it. One man is not going to win a championship by himself. So you have to have you know, combining parts.
True.
You have to have parts, and he had parts.
Now, does James Harden have the toning down of the volume shooting to create scoring opportunities for his teammates? See, that's the issue.
Right.
Because he's fixated on getting his bucket.
I don't think he does, and I don't think he will.
I don't think he's been made to.
I was about to say, I don't think he will if or until he gets a coach who will initiate or attempt to initiate a change.
D'Antoni's
right now, D'Antoni's not doing it.
He's not going to do that.
He's not doing it. Definitely not going to do it. Because they're winning, if you will, with him. But like I said, 82-game season is over. What do you do in that next season?
How do you adjust?
What do you do in that next season? Because now people know you shot the ball 35 times, 82 games a year. It's playoff time. Now we know you're going to shoot the ball 40 to 45 times.
Listen,
We know that now.
Charles Barkley has said a lot of crazy stuff in his life. But I'm gonna tell you something what he said that I agree with. If I was on that Houston team, I want out of here.
Oh yeah.
I ain't never touching the ball.
Never.
Never.
Mm-hmm.
All you doing is
I'm
really
telling you,
running up the. Now, if you're a big man or you're a power forward, what you do now, you make your money being a rebounder because you know you ain't getting the ball.
You're not getting the ball.
So you make your money being a fierce rebounder that 31 other teams might say, yo, we can use this
rebound too. That's the only way you're going to get some buckets.
You ain't
better get some offensive rebounds.
Get it off the glass.
That's like, it's kind of like I talked to Frank in the way. I'm glad you brought that point up. And we talked last week. And I mentioned to him when that article was 7 topics, and I mentioned to him about the Clippers. And I mentioned how scary they could end up being. And I know this is going off a little bit, folks, but it kind of fits. Like, you have a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook on the same team, which, if these guys would humble themselves a little bit for sakes of the entire team, would not be a bad duo.
Right.
Because Russie does both ends. He scores and he plays
defense. He plays defense.
Now, the reason I brought up the Clippers is because it's very similar. There are 2 big-time stars, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. I said, the scary thing, before I even get into the rest of the roster, the way I broke it down, scary part about those 2 guys is the simple fact that they're offensive and they have no problem locking in and playing D. And they can score from all 3 levels.
Mm-hmm. They can create
and like we say,
shot.
They're not quote-unquote 3-point shooters, but they can knock it down.
Yeah, you can't leave them open.
You can't leave them open.
Yeah,
you can't back up too much off of them because they can dribble and get to the cup and finish, or they can dribble to the mid-range and finish. And then they don't have any problem with getting their hands dirty on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, now that those 2 make them scary. And I said, to accentuate that, you add in a point guard like Patrick Beverly, who is a terror, a pain in the you-know-what on the defensive end. Given opportunities, he can score. And with those 2 stars, he's still going to get opportunities. May not be as many as before they got there, but he's still going to get opportunities.
Right. And he doesn't care.
And he doesn't mind.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Montrezl Harrell, and the way I said it last week, grown man. Grown man. Knows his role. Again, no problem getting his hands dirty on the defensive end. And he knows I got to bang the boards and play D and run the floor to get my buckets. And he's okay with that because that's what he does. And then you've got arguably the best 6th man to ever play the game, Lou Williams, that can come off the bench
and get you 30
and get you buckets.
Instant buckets.
And get you buckets. And will play enough defense.
Yeah, because he's a little thief on defense.
And his thing is he's one of the best at getting to the free throw line. And he can also do 2 levels of the offense. He can shoot the 3, and he can drive and get to the cup. And I don't give him the 3 because I consider that 3rd one that post up. So I don't give him the 3rd. I give him the 2. But that's what makes them scary. And like I said, with those 2, I think that's going to play out a lot better than the 2 in Houston. Because again, like you said, you got a 24-second clock. You got one guy that's dominant on the ball, that's been there, that's the incumbent. He's going to dribble the ball at least 10 seconds out of it. So now you're working with 14. Okay.
He definitely won't dribble that ball.
Now, it's funny. Now I'm starting to kind of believe that now Rusty is starting to feel like KD felt.
Yeah.
The last couple years before he left.
Yeah. Yeah.
You dribbling the ball. I'm wide open, dude. I'm arguably one of the best scorers in the game today. And you're going to dribble and then you're going to drive to the basket and dunk or try to dunk and miss it. And now you mad because he blocked it. So now I know in my mind I ain't getting the ball the next trip down the court because you're going to try and come back and get him back.
Most definitely.
When I'm standing here wide open. And you know I can knock this down. I know I can knock this down. Everybody in the building know I can knock this down, but you're not swinging the ball. So, for me, again, bottom line, to call him the best scorer in NBA history, To me, it all depends on your opinion and how you look at
I
it.
say maybe in today's game.
I would say I would have to agree with you right now and say in today's era, no doubt,
Mm-hmm.
no doubt. But I mean, people, you got to do your history, and I mean, it's not a high average as high as his right now, but the man did it without a 3-point line.
Hey, the number one scorer of all time is Kareem.
Kareem.
So,
and Oscar did it without a 3-point line. Averaged 30, triple double without a 3-point line.
Yeah.
So, I think it all depends on how you look at it and how you want to take it. Because again, like I said, I think if you shoot the ball 40 times, you have to have it. In today's
you gotta
game,
get 30 something.
You have to have a high. Your average is going to be high.
Ain't no way you. First of all,
like you said, you can't touch people now.
You can't shoot the ball 30 something times and not get 30.
Absolutely.
If you are shooting the ball 30 something times and you're not getting 30,
something's wrong.
That coach need to be fired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you are shooting the ball 30 something, you're giving me 30 something. Okay, well I guess this the offense I got to go with. Because D'Antoni don't believe in playing no defense.
None at all.
Double the offense. He don't care about no defense.
Absolutely.
I'm going to outscore you.
Mm-hmm.
And when those shots don't fall, how do you, possession by possession, stop the opposing team from either scoring easily or stopping the clock by getting to the rack?
Right.
That's where the cerebral part of basketball clicks in. You can't get no stops in the playoffs. You're not gonna win.
You're not gonna win.
It's just that simple.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think you have it unanimous from us. He is a volume scorer and could be given the title of best scorer. Excuse me. In today's game.
In today's game.
And there you have it, folks. So finally, before we close out, if you missed any of that last segment, you can tune in to iHeartRadio. Currently, Stitcher, Apple, Google, wherever you get your podcast feed, and you can catch this again on the podcast, the SportsRap podcast. Get over to iHeartRadio and give us some shout outs, give us some kudos so we can get in on the awards next year.
Yes, sir.
So we can get a podcast award for the show. Before we go, I just have to give a shout out to my guys over in Camden where I was at yesterday. You saw the live feed, you saw the photos, you saw the posts. Camden Monarchs, ABA, they win over the Philly Cannons in the Battle of the Bridge, 114-94. Shout outs to my guys. You know who you are. I posted them. Jay Stanback, Jalil Myers, Zay Uno, Jay Hertzer, tall yellow guy, Dub the GOAT. Everybody over there in the Blue Coast Blue Coast, wow, I'm getting all confused. In the Monarchs, I'm working too much. Everybody over there in the Monarchs organization that have welcomed me, and 5-1 record right now currently, so good record, and be on the lookout for them. As you know, if you follow me, I will give you updates on them as well. I'm going to give you NBA schedules for tonight. You got Clippers at Pacers, Cavs are at the Celtics, Pistons are at the Pelicans, the Raptors are at the Bulls, Kings are at the Rockets, Magic are at the Bucks, the Timberwolves face off against the Suns, the Thunder are at the Jazz, and the Grizzlies are in Oakland to face off against the Warriors. NHL Monday, the Islanders are at the Lightning, the Blue Jackets are at the Capitals, the Bruins are facing off against the Senators, and the Flames are playing the Avalanche. Again, Heat 100 Radio Toy Drive is going on right now. Get at us on social media. You can get me at SportsRap_D, Instagram and Twitter. You can get into the Facebook group, SportsRap Radio Show, or you can send me a message. Text me 215-275-6519 at Ball75.
Yes, sir.
I guess if you get in touch with him, hit him up. He'll let you know when he's at the shop. You can make that a drop-off point if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. 511 West Fisher Avenue.
511 West Fisher Avenue. Like I said, check with Baldy for the availability so you can drop off new unwrapped toys there. We will definitely keep you posted. And you can also hit up at Simply Monica72 on Instagram. Monica Mason on Facebook. for more info about the toy drive and how you can donate toys and be part of our Christmas celebration. Again, CeeLo Green tickets are up for grabs December the 20th. Again, hit us up on social media. Today and last week, we mentioned two coaches' names who were being talked about as replacements in the Eagles coaching staff realm. If you know those two names, send me a message or send Baldy a message for the guys that were tuned in from his job and from the barbershop. Send us a message. We will be in contact with each other to find out who those two names were, and we will work with you and get you your tickets if you win. That being said, another great show in the books.
Yes, sir.
We will be here next week. I decided we're going to take off the 30th, the last Friday of the month.
Gotcha.
So we'll be here next week. I'm guessing Baldy will be here again with me. Then on the 23rd, I am preparing a Christmas Day special for NBA, since the NBA games will be played 3 days later. So we have some time to get to that, and we will definitely discuss that. SportsRap radio show every Monday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. unless we tell you different. That is our schedule. It's your boy D.
It's your boy Ball.
YouTube, SportsRap TV.
Yes, sir.
You know where we are. Facebook, Instagram. SportsRap Podcast. You know where to find that. Get us on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. You know what we do. You know where to find us. We will see you next week and all week on social media. And as we like to say, be great on purpose. We will see you next week. Peace.